The socio-economic problems that affect the LGBTIQ community in Zimbabwe are not unique to this particular group, but are part of broader issues related to inequality, discrimination, and marginalization. While it is essential to recognize and address the specific challenges faced by LGBTIQ individuals, it is equally important to understand that these problems exist within a larger context of social and economic disparities. In 2011, the average poverty headcount ratio for the ordinary Zimbabwean was at $5.50. In 2023, it plummeted to $1.90, according to the World Bank. For the average LGBTIQ individual, the poverty headcount is just at $1.23, with more than 90% living below the poverty datum line. But this does not paint the whole picture. Across various aspects such as income and wealth distribution, education and skills, employment and unemployment, as well as health and mental well-being, LGBTQI individuals in Zimbabwe face additional challenges due to their sexual orientation and gender identity.
Whilst there is this ongoing economic crisis which is affecting the whole population in Zimbabwe, there are specific issues that relate to the LGBTQI population in Zimbabwe. So specifically, for example, access to employment is difficult for everyone, but for those in the community, there's an added layer of discrimination that relates to not only the sexual orientation, but in particular the gender expression and identity of specific individuals. So we came across examples of people going to interviews, for example, being asked questions around their sexuality because of how they presented themselves. We had instances of people actually losing employment basically because of specific issues that relate to how they express their identities. So you also have specific issues that relate to access to basic services, from housing to education to healthcare. Across all these spaces, you will find that there's an extra layer of discrimination that affects LGBTQI populations because of sexual orientation and gender expression and identity issues across the board. One of the key issues is that when you have a legislative process and a policy process which excludes this population, you'll find that even the policies themselves do not speak to specific issues affecting LGBTQI populations. So for example, Zimbabwe has got an economic blueprint which talks about leaving no one behind, which talks about inclusion, but the inclusion of LGBTQI persons specifically is not recognized at all.
In a struggling economy, income and wealth disparities tend to widen, leaving marginalized communities, including LGBTQI populations, further behind. Discrimination and stigma based on sexual orientation and gender identity often lead to limited employment opportunities, wage disparities, and exclusion from economic resources. GAL's 2021 Needs Assessment Report indicated that only 28% of workplaces were conducive and inclusive to LGBTQI persons based on experiences of previously employed community members. Access to quality education is crucial for social mobility and economic opportunities. However, LGBTQI students in Zimbabwe often face discrimination, bullying, and exclusion within educational institutions. This hostile environment negatively impacts their educational attainment and hinders the development of necessary skills. 84% of LGBTQI students have experienced a homophobic learning environment in tertiary colleges and universities, in addition to financial constraints. Limited financial resources may impede access to adequate healthcare, including HIV/AIDS prevention and treatment, which disproportionately affects the community. Additionally, the stress of economic hardship combined with societal discrimination can adversely affect mental health outcomes, leading to increased rates of depression, anxiety, and other psychological disorders. Despite all these hardships, the community has demonstrated resilience and resourcefulness by employing creative ways to socio-economic empowerment.
My challenges are true when now say LGBTQI community and equity socially community I could accept I could do that and suffer stigma and discrimination because vanenge vaziva kuti munhu ndozvaunenge uri. Then imwe yachona ndeyekuti family ikatongoziva financially hausisina support from family, iwewe ndowakutozvionera pachako kuona kuti wadya here, wawana basa here. Then kubasa kwachona ikoko tikutosafawo employment kuti tiwane basa rachona, because iwewe ukangozikamwa wenzi sexuality yako ndozvairi munhu akwanise kukuemploy. So financial crisis inenge yatovapo pauri because hausisina support from the family, employment hauna.
Inini some of the projects and ndinoenda kumesina kana kuJoburg ndonoorder ma-ultramail ndoorder ma-ultramail nema-juice nema-noodles nema-lays. Izvi ndo zvinhu zvinoita kuti ndikwanise kurarama. Then I used to play wheelchair basketball for national team, but now economy nyika hapana zvatiri kuita so far.
Inini I've ventured into socio-economic entrepreneurship. Ndakapinda mune zvekuita master of ceremony kuma events akasiyana siyana anosanganisira muchato, my graduation parties, and I'm into baking. I mostly do my birthday cakes, my muffin, and zvinhu zviri kutondi-empower inini to the extent yekuti ndakutovawo financially stable, ndakutozviitira zvinhu nemaoko, and handichadepend on someone because ndatone pekuwanawo mari. And zvandiri kuita izvi zviri kundibatsira inini semunhu, at the same time also kutobatsirawo the community and the society mandiri kurarama.
Inini mubusiness rangu ndinokwanisa kulaborata nevamwe kuti ndinomuudzawo kuti izvi zvinohodeswa kupi. Kana muri muno muZimbabwe ndomudirector kwazvinohodwa kwakachipa, so that iye anokwanisa kutengesawo kuti awane kurarama. Of which even profit yacho iri diki asi ukaibatanidza zvinenge zvichikufamba.
The development of the rainbow market, an equivalent of Facebook marketplace for the LGBTQI community, has been a great initiative to promote LGBTQI businesses.
So LGBTIQ plus entrepreneurs are heavily marginalized in economic spheres due to stigmatization and discrimination. So the online portal has special features including vendor registration and a directory specifically dedicated to LGBTI entrepreneurs. They can input their details, personal contact details, addresses, and profile the services and products that they offer.
Addressing these socio-economic barriers requires a multifaceted approach that addresses both systemic issues and individual needs. There is need for comprehensive legal protections against discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. This includes advocating for anti-discrimination laws in employment, housing, healthcare, and other areas of public life. Moreover, there is need for inclusive education that addresses stereotypes, promoting acceptance, and providing accurate information about sexual orientation and gender identity. We need to facilitate access to financial resources such as grants, loans, and microfinance options specifically tailored for LGBTQI individuals. Providing training and mentorship programs to support entrepreneurship and business development within the community is essential. We need to strengthen community organizations that provide support, resources, and advocacy for the queer community. Fostering collaboration among these organizations to maximize impact and create a unified voice for change.